Weird Realities Network presents Blondes, Books, and Campfire Tales, where we pull up a log, roast a marshmallow, and settle in as these two blondes talk spooky tales, urban legends, and classic horror icons. Exciting guests, perky blondes, and sinister tales makes this podcast as good as a double stack s'more. So let's join Bethany and Krystal as they gather around the campfire in Blondes, Books, and Campfire Tales.
Hey everyone, welcome to Blondes, Books, and Campfire Tales. I am Bethany. We've got Krystal, and this is our special guest right here, Hilton. So we're super excited to have Hilton on here. Hilton, do you want to talk about yourself a little bit?
Yes. First of all, I want to tell you guys thank you for having me. Yes, I'm from New York. I'm a filmmaker. I've been doing film for the last, I would say, 25 years. I've done everything from documentaries, shorts, narratives, and you can name it. I've done it. And I've known to do from social media, zombie with a shotgun. That was one of my things that got me into, I would say, viral. And once I'd done the web series Zombie with a Shotgun, that's when there was a lot of people wanted to notice my work, and they wanted me to know more of my stuff. And then from the web series, did a feature and a couple of documentaries after that. And then now I just released a new feature film 2 weeks ago, which is called Beyond the Halls of Paradise 666, which was based also on a short series. And that's what just released. And now we are working on soon to put a campaign for the sequel for Zombie with a Shotgun Part 2.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, I watched both. I saw Zombie with a Shotgun, and I saw the 6666 right there, Beyond Paradise. And you can definitely tell where you've grown from the Zombie with the Shotgun to 666. And I think they were definitely fun to watch right there. Yeah.
That.
I didn't know that the second one I knew it was an anthology. I didn't know it was a web series until I was watching it. Then I'm like, what's going on? And then I kind of researched it. I'm like, oh, it's a web series. That's all kind of put together.
Yeah. So I'll tell you a little bit history of that. So how the film was put together was, I would say maybe 5-6 years ago, maybe even longer. I started started 2 episodes of 666, which was supposed to be a web series. And Eli Roth's company had noticed it, and they contacted me to start doing a strictly web series with the same title, same concept for their new Crip Horror channel that they were going to release. And I was actually the first one to launch that site.
Nice.
And I premiered the very first. It wasn't the very first, but we had discussed that we were going to make it seem like that the new web series that I was doing for them was actually the very first one. And the other 2 previous ones that I had would follow up after that. So it would be part 1, 2, and 3. And it premiered, and it was awesome. I was there. It was Eli Roth's company and all that stuff. And then I started working on other episodes. So what happened was, I think it was maybe 6 or 7 months later, they decided to shut down Crip Horror and go into Crip TV, which they have now. And they would do basically the same thing. They were getting a lot of filmmakers to showcase their horror films, which mine was actually going to be original content for them. But since they shut Crip Horror, there was no more home for 666. And I had shot these episodes, and I was like, wait a minute, what happened? And I was like, whatever it is, I got the opportunity. I wasn't going to be upset about it. I was happy that I got the opportunity to showcase the work. And time went by. I have these episodes that I've done that no one's ever seen. I never even cut them at all. I just had them in the shelf, in my storage. COVID came, and I decided to go back in the storage room. And I started taking a lot of my work, and I said to myself, wow, there's a lot of time. Everyone had a lot of time in their hands. I said, let's look at the footage. So I started looking at the footage of the stuff that I had created and no one's ever seen. And I just got one of my producer friends, and I'm like, hey, look, I think we could cut these and we could put it all in one anthology horror film. and have them connected, because they all sort of connected together, where it's just, the same sort of concept, and they have the same, evil entity of this so-called person 666. How we were going to do that, we decided, we wrote these stories. Unfortunately, in the original one, we had the location, and we no longer had that location, which was like the key. But we had so much footage that we shot that we used it in some of the other episodes. So we shot. So we had 1, 2, 3. I shot 4, 5. Like, we had like 2.5 that was shot already. So we decided, hey, you know what? Let's shoot 2 and take some B-roll and try to go back and reshoot some of these other scenes. And it worked out. It was almost 90 exactly minutes of all the stuff that we did. And that's how it came. So I was like, hey, this would be awesome. I don't have this. The stuff that I had shot previously was not going to go to waste. And everyone, and the thing is that there was some little bit of a fan base that was created by it. Like, oh man, we're happy to 666. We love the whole concept. It was sort of like a homage to back in the 80s and 70s. Damien Omen to 666. So I was like, hey, let's do something like that. And again, COVID was one of the main reasons that it came back. And if COVID never had happened, the film would never been released, because and I continued that I had like maybe two features that I cut where they were documentaries. One got released, and I'm working one right now that we're done. We're about to release that, and that's all the stuff that I've been doing for so many years that you shelf it and like, oh, wait a minute. And I got 4 other short films that I'm about to release them slowly but surely out, because I was like, wow, I can't believe that all this stuff that I shot, I can't waste it. Why not bring it out? And so that's how 666 came together.
Nice. Well, we got Mike here. He says, hey. Hey, Mike. And we have Stacy on here.
Hi,
Hey, Stacy, what's up?
I agree, Stacy. Like, I definitely think like COVID was such a crazy thing that like for it to give you that chance to like go back and revisit some of the stuff that you've done and like develop it more to be able to release like the full anthology. Well, maybe not. I mean, I feel like you could still do more with that if you wanted to, but like just a more full like project with it. I think that's so good for doing something good.
Here, another thing too had happened too with that too is like, a lot of the actors that I wanted to bring back, they wouldn't want to shoot the film because COVID. They were scared. A lot of people left New York, and one of the guys the main guy who was the evil, he passed away. He was considered one of my best friends. He passed away during COVID, but we had shot a lot of footage, and it was like, damn, that sucks. So we were working on it, and I was like, I'm still gonna put it there. And obviously, when you see the film, there's a memory towards him.
Yeah.
And it just, even at the last episode, we never even like tended to do that, like, because he passed away. It was just, that's how the story was going to be. And it was like kind of ironic and kind of like creepy that was the way that a new sort of, I don't want to give the whole story, but basically a new body came in. And so that was challenging. But the good thing was that I had a lot of people that were like, you know what, we're going to do it. But, even though it was COVID and it was like, we're just gonna do it. And I was blessed with that. So that a lot of the actors, the last couple episodes, they were game on doing it. And I do agree. I think it was COVID came. It was, it did, make everybody think, and, something did come good out of it.
So what was it like? I mean, here you are, you basically put all this stuff together. You got the crowdfunding, you put everything together, you wrote, directed, produced. What was that feeling like when you got notified by Eli Roth's company?
That was awesome. I still remember. It's so funny. It was. I'm pretty sure. Oh my God! I said I still remember. Now I can't remember. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Christmas Eve that I was contacted.
Oh wow!
And it was Eli Roth that saw it, and one of the episodes.
Mm-hmm.
and they contacted me, said they really liked it and everything like that. And I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
because it was interesting because believe it or not, Zombie and 666 were working almost simultaneously together. And I got such a huge, big viral hit with Zombie with a shotgun web series. It was going crazy. That's how I got a lot of my followership and all my social media. It just blew up. And it was just funny. I was like, you know what? I got the 666. Let me just release it out. And that was the one that I got contacted for. You would
Mm-hmm.
think that I would get contact for Zombie, and it wasn't. It was for the 666. So I was like, wow, I'm gonna have to put Zombie now back. And I brought
Mm-hmm.
it to the front. And obviously, unfortunately, and again, it is what it is. What happened? They shut down the site they went to, and then I was like, oh wow, okay, now we got to bring back Zombie.
Yeah.
So, but it was awesome. Like again, I appreciated that whole getting recognized and stuff like that, and and I'm glad that it was released as an anthology and put the stories put together where it wasn't a waste of time.
Yeah. So I saw on a previous, I don't know if it was probably a previous interview I saw of you, and you spoke about how when you were a kid, you used to make a bunch of videos.
Yes.
Yeah. Was that like the handheld camera, fade in, fade
Yeah.
out?
So it was interesting, right? So we were like, so I grew up with a large family, and I would always tell people that we were like the Latin Brady Bunch, because we had 3 boys, 3 girls. We had my mom and dad,
Mhm.
and we had my aunt that was like Alice,
I was gonna say, do you have an Alice?
yeah, we was like she was living with us, and she was like cleaning, cooking for all of us, and instead of having the dog, we had the cats, right?
Mhm.
So, and I was the youngest. So during the time that I grew up in the 80s, the cheapest thing to take the kids out was in a theater, movie theater, right? So where my parents would work, my aunt would like, oh, what are we going to do Friday night or Saturday night? Because my parents, how parents working so much, they were never around. But it was mostly on Saturdays. So she would like, all right, let's go to matinee. We'll go to matinee, and then we would just hop to each of the films. So it was every Saturday we went to the
Yeah.
movies. It was ridiculous. It's so funny because when I watch all these movies, I was like, I can tell you when I saw it, where I saw it, which theater I seen it, because it gives me such memories. And it was me, my brother, and my cousin. We were the 3 boys in the house, and then of course the 3 girls. We would watch the movies. And every time we watched a movie, we would come home and we would make like stupid like costumes like out of the cardboards and stuff like that. And since I was the youngest one, I was never allowed to participate in the scenes. So I give you an example. If we went to see like Return of the Jedi, my cousin would be like Luke and my brother would be Darth Vader. And I would be like, no, I want to be. And they'd be like, no, because I was the youngest. So they would say, you know what? They made a little box and they said, you should be the camera guy. Because they wanted to make it seem like I wanted to be part of it. And it's funny because they talk about it this day. Like, it's unbelievable how you were young and we made you the camera guy because we didn't want you to participate. So I was like, oh, that's cool. So every time we would come back from a movie, I would have the stupid box and I would move around like I was making a movie. But it wasn't I wish it was a real camera. And then years later, I did get a camera. And then I started doing little short films with my friends and everything like that. And I'll be honest with you, I really still didn't think that filmmaking was going to be something that I wanted to do. I loved it. I liked it. I thought it was cool. I was like, I don't, me be a filmmaker. No, it happened to be that when I was in high school, I had transferred to a school, to high school that it's a long story. I got transferred, and they decided to put me onto a cinema studies program. And I'm like, why are you putting me there? They're like, we have no room for you. So you're going with all the like so-called the nerds and geeks, and you're going to cinema studies. And I was like, I didn't care. I was like, all right. And boom, that's when it opened up to me. I'm like, whoa. and taking those courses, and Mrs. Wilson, which was taught me so much. And I know she's gone, but that was like, she was like my, like opened my eyes to filmmaking. And I would never forget her. She was like, you know, and she was so passionate. I could still remember when she said, look at the movie a different way. Don't look at it, everybody. And I just remember just looking, and we were all looking. She was beautiful. She was a great teacher. It was just a beautiful thing. And that's moment in high school, I said, this is what I want to do. And I just said, wow, I was kind of doing it. You know, I used to make my own like Halloween Michael Myers films with my friends in the neighborhood, in the block. And yeah, it was just great. But that's how that whole thing of making films started from me, from being a little kid and having this fake little camera box and just doing it. But yeah, those are good memories.
Yeah. So I got to ask, and it's kind of random. So I feel like every kid who grew up in the 80s, because I know Krystal and I did, and I know, you know, obviously you did, you made the videos, right? And like when we made our videos as kids, we got invested. Like we did our writing, we shot our scenes, we got our friends in on it, whoever you could get in on it. But sometimes you would kind of record over important events accidentally. I know I did a few times.
Yes.
What was more important than our home videos?
Yeah.
So did you ever have something like that? Record over a video that your parents were like.
It's funny you say that, because I was looking at this guy who has a social media like TikTok, right? His page is basically going to garage sales and buying VHS tapes.
Okay.
Random, just buying it and playing them and showing the TikTok, look what I found in this garage and look what's on this tape. And I thought it was freaking brilliant. I'm like, damn, I wonder if somebody's gonna find my tapes, because they all like, a lot of them went in garbage. You know, you like, everything was like, I can't find them. There's some videotapes. Matter of fact, my friend that I talked about who passed away, we did some videos, and I was trying to look for it in the storage, can't find it. I'm like, where did it go? You know? And yeah, so this guy goes to garage sales and he shows family, just, it could be a family just celebrating an event, and he shows it. And the reason why he actually got popular recently, because he found a tape of a pretty famous celebrity, I forget her name, who played Peggy in Married with Children. And he found the tape.
Katie Seagal.
Yes, when she was singing. And I started following his page, and I realized that's what he does. He goes, buys these VHS tapes in garage sales, puts it on, and he will like cut it like to good scenes that he sees in the video. And I was like, wow, I wonder my tapes when they will be found, because I can't find a lot of them. Yeah.
Mike says, I made an 1.5 hour long video way back when a buddy of mine gone fishing. It was an 1.5 hour long of the video, the most boring BS. Not getting married fish.
Oh, I'm just back to like the movies and things we used to do. Like we used to go to the extent where we would make like fake commercials. Do you remember that?
We did.
And you
had to have the commercial break in there.
We made a song. I don't remember the song or the dance, but we made a song in a Macarena-esque dance for Kraft macaroni and cheese. And if somebody found that and posted it on TikTok, I would die.
Man, I remember.
And I don't know if you used to do this, but what we used to do also is like, we used to have the soundtrack with a boom box behind.
Yes.
We did. We used to do
music. I remember at this moment.
But you never
in the background,
yeah, but you never had the whole song though, because otherwise the DJ would cut in when you tried to record the song by holding the boombox to the boombox.
God, yes. And it always got interrupted by somebody. Stop it now! Stop
right?
It. Yeah.
Olivia says she had a fake radio station.
I
did that too, like into your little like tape recorder, and you pretend to be the DJ.
That is cool. Yeah, that is cool.
I feel like boom boxes are they're underrated now, man. Like people, they just don't respect music as when you tried so hard to get your favorite song and you had to call into the radio so many times just to get them to play your favorite song so you could record it for your mixtape. Now you can just Spotify.
I don't know. I had I'm going off the topic, which is that okay, right? I'm going off.
Yeah,
the
yeah,
topic.
yeah. Go right ahead. Yeah,
Always.
we're gone. We go off topic all the time.
I had a pretty good discussion with one of my friends, and we talking about how like there's not relationships like it used to be, right? People are not having relationships in high school and stuff like that. And I told him something that he never even thought about, and I said, "I tell you, there's a reason why I believe that relationships don't exist anymore." I said because everyone listens to different music. And I said, when we were growing up, we had to listen to the radio, and everybody was listening to the music. And you had music that fitted mainly for three groups. You had like, you would either have like the rock group, the hip hop group, or the love R&B group. And those groups, and then you had like maybe, the Misfits, whatever. Right. So, but you never had like so many subgroups. You had 3 to 4 groups, and all those groups listened to that music, and that music brought everybody together. And a lot of the music, you resonated with it and everything. But one thing that everyone did resonate with was love music, right? And we all listened to the same sort of music, and we could all like kind of like relate to it. And I feel like that got us together because there was so many people in the groups, and we mingled so much. Now no one listens to you listen to radio station, but you have so much music out there, and everyone is trying to fit in that group. And I believe that that's what happened. With music was so important in our lives that connected us, and it's connecting us, but it's so much sub genres. But when we were younger, we had to listen to the radio only, and and what they played we listened to, and we socialize together with that music, and we listen together with that music. And I think that's really important. And I think that's what happens with toy stores too. I think them taking Toys R Us out is getting kids a little bit confused of what, like, I don't want to get too political, but like you had a lot of, you had the boy side and you had the girl side. And I think when they took toy away, and that's something I also discussed, and he was like, wow, that's pretty good. And I think there should be like some sort of study on that. Like when the toys left, especially Toys R Us, yeah, they do have toys in Target, but it's not the same, right? But when they had Toys R Us, you went in there and you had the boy section, you had the girl section. I'm not saying if you're a boy, you have to go in that section, you have your head in that section. But it definitely made you clear of like, okay, I'm going to play with this, and this is how I'm going to grow up, and whatever machismo, whatever. And you have the girl, I'm going to draw up girly. Not saying that's what you're supposed to do, but I think once they took toys away, there was some sort of like everyone's playing on the tablet and computer. I'm not saying, I don't want to get angry, and I'm not saying it's supposed to train you in that way, but there's some stages in life when you play with, when you boy, like I played with like, Soldier Man, and then I played with like He-Mans, and then I played with robots, and then I played with bikes, and then I played with footballs, and then, the stages would go higher and higher and higher. Females was almost the same thing. Now it's like, there's no stages.
Well, I get what you're saying too. And it's not necessarily, like you said, it's not necessarily you have to play with the boy toys or the girl toys. Like, I'm the only girl. I'm also the youngest. So like you said earlier, always wanted to do what my brothers were doing. So I always wanted to play with their toys, but that's like, it's the whole thing. Like, you'd go out in the neighborhood, you'd play with other kids, you'd share toys. And like with what the kids are doing now, they've all got their own little tablets and they're playing on there. And it's not, a lot of the socialization aspect is gone.
Yeah.
You're not going out in the neighborhood and playing with the kids and being like, oh, I know that boy 3 doors down has this Hot Wheel that goes with my Hot Wheel. And if we put them together and he has the best racetrack, like, I don't see that happening as much anymore.
No. And I really believe that. And, I just think there should be a pretty cool study on that because ever since Toys R Us is gone, it's like some sort of like confusion with kids. And I think a lot has to do with toys. I really believe it, but
yeah.
Well, who am I to say, right? It's just an observation that I, took
it's
on.
definitely changed how we socialize and how we interact with each other.
I wonder if it kind of helped brought around the millennial nostalgia that's so big now. Because since, for instance, Toys R Us was such a big impact on millennials and everyone before us, once it's gone, and like you said, there's no marketing aspect of telling us which toys we're supposed to play with.
Yeah.
And basically you go from toys to electronics and tablets and everything, that now it's like you just the millennials are bringing back their old toys that they liked. So that kind of coincides where you got like the millennial nostalgia that of all the old stuff coming back right now, like all the Ninja Turtles and the Barbie movie and all this stuff coming back, probably because we're like, hey, like we lost this for our kids, but they still got to play with something. Like kids still want to play. They still want to do things. And it's almost like when they have so many toys, they don't want to play with any of them. Like I know my girls, they've got so many toys and I'm always like, go do something. And they're like, we're bored. I'm like, you have so many toys.
Yeah.
But they don't have like the it toy, you know, because there is no it toy. It's electronics now that they want.
Yeah, it's everything, right? The past 5 years has been either the iPhone, the tablets, the freaking whatever, the Switch and the PS5, and then it's like now it's sort of like podcast kits and you know, it's you know, but I mean that's all good and everything, but it's not like a toy. It's not anymore. Like in the past 5 years, there's nothing that's like hot to be like, oh, you know, like the Furbies and
I remember.
It's like that rush at Christmas time for that specific toy. Now it's for a rush for a specific electronic.
Or shoe or something.
Yeah. Now, what is it now? Soon is going to be the virtual reality, right? Like the Sony, I think it's releasing the one in Christmas time. I think it's like $500 or $600. It's going to be the first game system with virtual reality. And I know the Apple has one, but it's expensive, $3,000. No one really can afford $3,000 device, especially walking down the street, you're going to get robbed. So, but you know, it's going to get cheaper, obviously, because some other company's going to come with something. So these are, I would say in the next 5 years, that's what things going to be very popular is those virtual glasses or whatever they want to do. But yeah, it's a sign of the times, you know, it's just, but Cabbage Patch Kids, look at that, Ticking Me Elmo.
Londa has a good point right here. She goes, she didn't have a lot of toys, but they made up games and played outside. I don't see it.
I was always outside. It was the whole, like, my mom would get, you know, like, mom's tired of the kids. It's summer break. Go outside. Don't come back until the sun starts setting, like, or until dinner time. Like, yeah, we would be out playing whatever, like, yeah. And now, and I mean, it's totally a different world. I don't think you necessarily want your kids to be out where you have no contact with them. But, like, I know my 6-year-old nephew has a cell phone.
Wow.
My brother and sister could, you know, there's like still a way for them to be in contact, you know, but at the same time, like them having a cell phone isn't going to stop somebody from snatching them. So
exactly. But you could track them. I remember we had, when I first moved to this side of, or we were back and forth on Tucson. So when I moved on to the side of Tucson where I met Krystal, we were the second house to move into this this whole area. It was me and this one other house. And so we were surrounded by construction. And I remember right in front of my house, before that house was built, was just like the dumping grounds of where all the construction people would put all the dirt and whatever was mixed up in the dirt. And I used to tunnel holes through this pile. And it like, we had like rhubarb in there. We had like, or rhubarb, I mean, we had like concrete, whatever, like half open bottles of beer that they had from the construction workers and stuff. And like my parents didn't care. We were just tunneling through trying to dig through things, making a fort. Now I'm like, I cannot imagine having my kids go out there, go digging through construction stuff.
Just if they knew what we were doing, right?
I know.
I always think about that. It's like, wow. I mean, taking that bike and ride for like, I don't know, hours. And then like,
so happy we didn't have TikTok.
Yeah, they had no idea what we were doing or anything like that. Yeah, I mean, it's, and you're right. I sometimes think to myself, wow, I can't believe I survived that decade.
We had a fort out in the desert made out of like old, like just whatever, like things that we found. So it was like some cactus ribs, some tree branches, like just all kinds of stuff. And yeah, like We were just out there, and it was in a wash, which you're never supposed to play in the wash. But we were like, "Here's our fort in the wash."
Do you guys have washes in New York? I don't know. Do you guys have washes there?
Washes as in like
Yeah, like where the water runs.
It's basically a dry riverbed, but when it rains, the water goes through, or when the snow melts, the water goes through.
Oh, okay.
no.
So they're big on flash floods and washes.
There's like a reservoir, right? Like a reservoir.
No, it's like a river.
No.
It's like a river, but it's dry 90% of the year. But then when the water's running through it, it's usually a flash flood force water.
Yeah, if you think about Arizona dirt, it's so dry that it doesn't soak in the water. So when it rains, it turns into like a mudslide almost. It just washes over the top. So those dry riverbeds will turn into flash floods like very, very fast. So very dangerous. But we're like,
no,
hey,
we don't have that. I mean, there's certain places probably out east that may have something like that, but like especially in New York City, no.
Yeah.
Everything's just that's a problem now, because I don't know if you realize, like if you've seen in the last like decade, New York City's been flooded like never before. The subways are flooded. It's never ever like that, and it's like these guys are not preparing for it. It's just ridiculous. Like every year now, the subways is never ever was ever like that. It's ridiculous. It's how it's getting flooded now, and they need to figure something out, because sooner like there's going to be that big storm that's going to destroy the whole infrastructure of New York City, and everyone knows it, but just no one is doing anything about it. Like, oh, okay, it's over now.
Like, thanks. Until something happens, no one's gonna do anything.
It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Stacy has a good point. She goes, I think playing outside really built imagination and creativity, and now with all the electronics, creativity is much lower with kids.
I don't know. I mean, I do think that maybe the creativity's just changed, because some of the stuff that my nephews say, I'm like, where do you come up with this stuff? Like,
my nephew, he would get really creative on before TikTok. There was Vine and Dub Smash, so he would get really creative on that stuff.
Yeah, I think you're right with the creativity in the alligators and sewers. Yeah, right. That was a thing back in the. I think the there's a different type of imagination, but I do agree that there was a different type of imagination, and I would say it's like because I would play in the swimming pool, or I would play with the kids and stuff like that, and they will like not know what to do. Everyone's playing. Say, hey, look, let's make a game. I'll be the only person say it, and like these guys are like, come on, let's make a game. And I think that comes from back in the days of having that imagination that these kids don't have. And I always got to come up with the game, because no one has like, oh, it's, everyone's on their phone and everything like that. I'm like, hey, come on, let's do this in the pool. Let's, so we're always playing these like, wrestling games or football games that we incorporate wrestling into it. And they oh man, this is so fun and everything. And I'm like, these guys, it's like, no one has that sort of like come up with the imagination of just trying to figure out how to make fun with anything. And so, yeah. But, all right, let's see what this says back in it.
Mike didn't have internet. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
I remember being the remote control who had to turn the knob on the television for my family.
Like that's another thing about being the youngest, right? We want to change the channel. Who's going to go turn the knob? Krystal,
exactly.
The youngest.
That was me too. I was the youngest. I had to change the thing, and
I feel like we all are bonding over that youngest moment right now.
You had to watch everything. So you had to watch what the oldest wanted to watch.
Yeah,
right. You had to watch it. So there is, and it helped me as I got older with filmmaking too, because I tell you things that I did not want to watch and I was forced to watch. Star Trek was one of them, and then I got so into it because my cousin was older than the boys. He's like, we had to watch Star Trek. I was like, I don't want to watch Star Trek. And then I was forced to watch it, and I'm like, oh, I like Star Trek. That was one of them. My cousin was so crazy about the Planet of the Apes movie series. I was scared when I was little. I was scared of all of them. And then now it's like, oh my God, they're great. That whole 5 series movie of Planet. So a lot of things that I was forced to watch that, as years go by, when I look at it, I'm like, I watch it now, like, oh yeah, because I was forced to watch those shows. But yeah, I remember even when, but it was great because we would go to the movie theater to watch. We would go like as a family to watch Friday the 13th, right? Because the oldest wanted to watch it,
Yeah.
and I was the youngest one. I was like maybe 6 going in to watch freaking Friday the 13th Part 3, and I'm like, I was scared, but I was forced to watch it, and I watched all the bad movies because the oldest wanted to watch it. So that was pretty cool, though. You know,
Yeah, it's definitely because of my brothers that I got introduced to horror movies. Like I was like 5 or 6, and they were like, "Let's watch Fright Night." I was like, "Okay,"
yeah,
and then they
yeah,
couldn't stop me from watching the horror movies.
yeah. Yep, that's how
So
exactly how I got into it. Also, I just watched all the movies that they wanted to watch. I had no say to watch any of the
nope.
movies.
So I want to come back to the horror movies, but Hilton, I went through such a range of emotions just now when you were talking about Star Trek because I am a diehard Trekkie.
Yeah,
So, okay, I got to ask, like, what is your favorite Star Trek series? Like, what is your series that you will go to or that you just really liked when you watched it?
the original series, and
There you go.
what I love the most, to me, believe it, I love the original series of Captain Kirk, but
Mhm.
the movie series, Search of Khan, those were like amazing. You could watch them now, and I remember we made such a family event on the Search of Khan. That's why we brought that.
Mhm.
And oh, what's his name that was in it? Monto. Oh my God, he was a Latin. He was one like the first Latin actor to go there. And my mom was like, "We gotta watch it because he was this Latin actor, and there was never at that time a Latin actor that was in the screen." And my mom never used to want to go to the movies because she was always working, but that one she wanted to see because he was in it. And we made such a family event, right? And then I remember my mom dressing up in her best outfit to go see Star Trek
Yeah.
and I still remember it. And we would laugh at my mom, like, "What are you doing, dude? We're just watching a movie." She's like, "No, we gotta watch it. We're gonna see what's his name on the screen." And it was cute. It was cute, and I would never forget it because I remember like my mom mentioned it. Look, and I remember looking at it and I'm like, wow, she was so happy to see him in it. And you know what? The movie was awesome, dude. I'm like I gotta look at it on my phone now. It's like, but yeah,
Yeah, look it up.
yeah. It was. I'm pretty sure it was. Was it the Fantasy Island guy? But yeah, and I got so into it. Oh my God, now it's like, oh gosh. But yeah, I got into it because of my cousin,
Mhm.
and he just loved it so much. And which is your favorite? Which one would you go to?
I'm a next generation girl, but I grew up with my parents with the original, but I think when I really came of age, it was just all next generation. So even now, I'll replay Next Generation over and over again. But I'll read Deep Space Nine books. I don't know, but I'm a nerd.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
anything
Yeah.
with Worf, I like Worf.
No, those. What was the other one that I got into? Because I was forced to. Oh my God.
Oh, there's Hadley. What's up, Hadley?
Hey. Yeah, I gotta look which ones also I got into Buck Rogers. I love Buck Rogers, and I never wanted to watch when I was little. I was like, I don't want to watch it. And then after watching, I just love Buck Rogers. It brings me back so much memories. So yeah, that was one of them.
Mike, I did not know that about you. So that's awesome.
Which one is that?
He's a Trekker Trekkie. 50 Star Trek conventions. That is awesome. He met all the original cast.
Really?
That's cool.
Man, that's awesome.
I can't even
I don't know how many times I can say awesome, but that, I said it a lot.
I have no opinion on Star Trek. I think
I know.
saw the movies.
Tell
once.
me.
I know. I think I made her watch some and she was like, whatever.
Yeah, listen, I mean, yeah, not a lot of people are like really into it, you know what I mean?
Wanda.
But I
really am, Wanda. I really am. I have nothing against Star Trek. It's just not something I ever really watched or was
But
exposed to.
you know what? Krystal was
I
a
was
good
the
friend who supported.
same way as you were when I was younger, but I was forced to watch all the episodes. And I tell you, my cousin was such a he got me into science fiction that he actually was the one that my favorite movie is Blade Runner. Blade Runner is many people's favorite film. and it was
The original or new?
the original.
Okay.
Oh, Harrison Ford with the 1984. Obviously he's also in the new one also. So my cousin is the one that got me into that, and because of him, Blade Runner is my favorite film of all time, and it was just him was such a big science fiction fan. And Dune, it was just he would watch it over and over and over and over, and because of him, I just love science fiction, and it's so cool because I think that's that was so cool that sometimes you got to open your eyes and stuff, and I guess being a little, it's like being always in the background. What are you watching? And I'm like, ugh. You're like, you have to sit down. It's like, all right, because you had no internet, so you had to sit down and watch it. You're like, okay,
Yeah.
I like this,
And you watch whatever came on too. You couldn't flip through all the different channels or just binge watch a series. You were just kind of stuck, and you had to wait till the following week for the next episode.
Yeah. And it's funny, they don't make science fiction stuff like they used to. Like X-Files was like almost like the last sort of like amazing like television science fiction show, and I just don't see that anymore. Like they're not putting really the money into like science fiction as they used to. I know it's the hardest genre to promote and make money out there, but it's pretty, there's a big fan base out there, but they just don't put the money into it as much,
Well, I think right now it's more like horror TV's having its moment.
Yeah.
Like, because they did, Supernatural, True Blood,
Walking Dead.
Thank you. There's so many just like horror things out there right now. I know that's just like a few of the big ones. So I think like the horror TV's having its moment, and I think it just cycles through, and science fiction will probably come back.
Yeah.
That's true. I agree with you.
That'd be cool to have like a science fiction horror movie that's not Jason, because there's a Jason in space. I guess like Aliens. Yeah, that's like a science fiction horror.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and they did like Prometheus and stuff. So yeah, they did that. There's a lot of stuff, and that's what's really fun. There's so many things out there that no matter what you're interested in, you're gonna find something. So whether it's good or bad, you're gonna find something.
Well, with like the streaming services, like it's, there's so many, like you can do, what is it? Chiller? Is that the one that's just horror?
They do have a Chiller and Shutter.
Thank you. Shutter. That's what I was thinking of. But, so they have like the streaming services that are very specific, and then just like with all the streaming services coming up with like their own content now and not just stuff from the networks. Like there's so much stuff out there that you can find whatever you want.
Hadley, I think that was Event Horizon.
Yes, Event Horizon.
No.
That was a good one.
Mike got a meet and greet with 1889 Kelly. There we go. Oh, nice.
Nice.
That was awesome.
Mike's got to meet a lot of people.
Yeah,
I didn't know all this about you.
When we were talking about, like, was it when we were talking about Stephen King that Mike was like, "Oh, I've done this and this and this."
Yeah,
like
Mike's got a story for everything we do.
It's like I have all these autographs from Stephen King, and I'm like, okay.
Well, Mike's going to be in and out. He's having a little bit of issues with his internet.
Oh, no.
Well, whenever we see you, Mike, you filled the void on a lot of stuff.
Right?
Yeah, it's cool.
Well, tell us a little bit about what kind of inspired your stuff that you delved into, because obviously you did stuff with your brother and your cousin when you were younger. What got you into the horror genre? Like what got you jumping in there?
I love all genres of movies. I always feel like, it doesn't really matter the genre as long as the story is great. The ultimate love story is always the best for me. And you can see I incorporated that in Zombie with Shotgun. I wanted to do sort of like a zombie love story, which the point of view of the zombie, and I wanted to do my own interpretation of it, horror. But when I started like learning filmmaking, it was like in the early 90s, going to the mid 90s. And that's when the whole Brothers McMullen and Quentin Tarantino's of the world, and no one was doing horror at that time. And I grew up with bunch of classmates going to school that no one wanted to talk about horror. Everybody wanted to be like the next, like, let's do the next, Brothers McMullen or Pulp Fiction, stuff like those kind of like films, and 2 Days in the Valley kind of like storytelling and stuff like that. And I was like kind of like the outsider, like, you know what? I don't know if we should mention horror, So I'm like, I was cool with that, That was the time, to do those kind of like dialogue driven films. And I was working with a lot of films with friends, on their sets and everything. And I was working on my own projects and everything like that. And I don't know why I never went into horror, because horror was like, like I said, I don't have a favorite genre. It kind of favorite genre because, that's the stuff that I watched mostly, but when I was younger. And I think a lot of it is I really enjoyed your segment. It's like, oh wow, it's great. I want to talk about that after if we could. So what happened is, you know how it is as an artist, as a filmmaker, you guys doing films, like today you would think about, all right, I'm going to shoot this in the next month. And then you'll get a call the following week to say, hey, Hilton, I got this job I want you to do. I got this small budget and we want you to do this and that. And I think I got stuck on that. I got stuck on, because I got stuck in doing documentaries, and I was never, intended to do documentaries. So then I got kind of like stuck doing documentaries. And I was doing, a bunch of these documentaries, I would say like around the 2000s. And I did a little bit of, short films and stuff there and there, but because I wanted to go back into, because I always loved narrative, fiction projects. I just love creating. Not saying the documentary is not creating, but usually the documentary, the subject matter is already created for you. You just got to, go and tell the story, whatever. And I got stuck doing that. And then I came out with I published a photography book by a famous photographer called Bill Butterworth, on the photographs of 42nd Street during the 80s and 90s. And we had a huge success on it. And then after that, there was another documentary I did that got like, it went all over. It went sort of kind of like viral. And then I started realizing that there was like kind of like really not control. The projects that I was doing at that time, I didn't really feel controlled. I don't know if that makes sense. I felt like the stories, like they were there, but they weren't like mine. And I kind of felt like, I needed to go back to doing narrative, fiction films. And I wanted to do, and I always tell everybody, it's like to me, narrative fiction is like playing with a dollhouse, a plain dollhouse, and you make that house yourself. You make the bedrooms, and you make, the closets, you paint the house. And that's, to me, what filmmaking is. You have a plain dollhouse and you make that the house you want it to be. And I wanted to make that control, and I just said one day, I was like, you know what, I'm going to leave this documentary. And it just came to me. I want to do my own interpretation of the zombie genre. And the web series were getting really popular at the time. And I said, I just want to do this. And I got my friend Braden, who's the zombie, the lead role of zombie. And I told him the idea, and he's like, oh, I love it. We did that first episode. We shot that. We cut it. We did it in 1 month. And in that month it was released, I would say my horror, whatever you want to call it, career was started. I've gotten thousands of emails. People thought that it was actually a real television series that was created. I was getting calls, emails from networks telling me, we want to see this, because web series was so new that they thought it was actually a first preview of a television series that I created and I was going to sell. So all these networks was like emailing me, telling me, we want the first dibs on this and everything. And I would tell them, no, it's just a 5-minute short film. It's a part of the first web series and everything, but it got viral. I think I was like over 100 articles in like after 2 to 3 months.
Wow.
So we did the second, the third, the fourth, and the fifth. And I was like, wow. Then we did the 666. We did that whole thing. And then went back into documentaries. I got a call. And so that's how I really basically got into horror film. And it had to do with me just trying to like, I wanted to like do something different and get away from everything that I was doing. And that only thing that I never did was horror. So that was, you know, to answer the question, that's why I went into horror, because I did everything. I did comedy, I did, you know, drama, I did, you know, even suspense short films, and you know, I did a thriller feature film in early and late '90s. Never released it. It was one of those films that I did, shot on film and everything. It's just, you know, festival. That's actually a film that I will go back, work out, recut it, and release it one day. And horror was the only genre that I did not do. So that's why I came into it.
Well, you can definitely see a lot of your influence of doing documentaries on the episode Hadley was talking about, the one that you were in with the mirror, because it was very kind of documentary style, especially where you know, you were talking about the podcast and you pick up people driving and stuff.
So I tell you a little bit. So when there's 8 episodes, 8 chapters. So when I first did the first like episodes for, you know, we were going to do for the Crip Horror kind of site, I wanted, you know, whatever. It was kind of stupid, whatever. Call it stupid or not, but ambitious or whatever. I wanted to shoot every single one on a different camera. And of course, different actors, and different story, different DP, different look. I was like, I wanted to do something so different. So you can see that it ended up being like that. And we did almost, the first, like, I think 6 were all done in different cameras, different stories. I wanted to do one that was like playing like a documentary, like one that had kind of like exotic kind of feel with the girls. Then I wanted to get the revenge of the female story in there. And I wanted to have all these sort of like stories put all into one about the same entity. And one of them, like you said, was like the podcast, kind of like a documentary feel. And then I had found footage. And let's put found footage in it also. So that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to do everything different. Like I said, you know, whatever, you know, I look back at it and I say, yeah, we didn't have to use a different camera all the time, but whatever. You know, so I wanted to do it, you know, I wanted to work with different actors in each of the episodes. And like I said, different cameras and different feel of the film. Of each one had a different feel. Like I said, one was documentary, one was found footage, one was like, you know, like I said, revenge and all that stuff. But I incorporate all the things that I kind of felt like I knew what I was doing.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's really cool with each episode being filmed with a different camera, because then you get that different feel for it.
And
that was pretty cool. Hadley.
Yeah, they all had different, I definitely, like they all felt like totally different stories. But then they did, like you said, they had that connection with the 666 demon. And like, and then there was like where you had, I think it was, oh my gosh, I'm trying to remember what order they were in, because I watched like 3 on YouTube, then I went to Amazon and watched like the full thing, and they were in different orders. So I don't remember the order of each one.
Okay, yeah, right.
Yeah, but like you had like the couple in the one, and then like her sister was in another one.
Yeah.
And so it was like a totally different feel, totally different story, but it had like that connection. And I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I like seeing
that one was that was actually one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah.
The 4th one. Yeah. I had a lot of fun in that one. That was why it was like, it was pretty fun. They were all fun. They were all, some of them were definitely, you know how it is. There's more than one that was challenging and the other ones, but damn, I was about to say something.
Sorry.
Oh, no. It was somebody was talking about my episode. Who was it that said it?
Hadley.
Oh, yes. Okay.
The mirror episode,
A little bit trivia on that whole sort of story. That was actually based on a true story.
Really?
Yeah. I'm going to put in IMDb trivia certain things that happened. That was based on a true story where I was an Uber driver, because, you know, I dabble in doing all the kinds of stuff. And I wanted to try how this whole kind of like new world is. And that really happened to me. That whole scenario really happened to me. And I remember telling a couple people, and they were like, that's bullshit. And I'm like, I fucking swear to God.
And so like you went into somebody's house and they had the whole seance set up?
No, on the driver's side, not that side.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
The side of the people who have lied to me that they had wanted me to sleep in my house.
Dude, that was a
And they had
crazy
the keys and
story.
stuff.
Oh my gosh.
That was a true story. The seance was made up. But the one I should have clarified myself what the story was talking about. The story about the couples that wanted to come over sleep, that was based on a true freaking event that happened to me.
Oh, I believe it. People are, they're weird. People are so weird.
Yeah.
I totally believe that's
I
true.
wanted to experience that life, that whole thing, and let me tell you, I can write. Let me tell you, there's other stories that I would tell you that I can't even believe that it's just how weird people are. But yeah, that was one of them. But
you made the right decision in not letting them come to your house. That's what they were trying to do, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I would never like there. And you know what? I kept it. The hard part of that story is that I kept it as rated G as that story was. The real like what they were saying and it was really out of there. That I wanted to tame it as much as possible to fit in the film. Like I didn't want to like go into like what really things that they were saying. Mm-hmm. And so I put it that side of the story with, like I said, it's very PG. But it was a creepy. Again, I meant to put it on IMDb a trivia that was like that story is basically that was a true story that happened to me.
Well, if you want any more stories, Krystal and I have both been pizza delivery drivers. And if you want horror stories, be a female pizza delivery driver. I got stuff for you.
Listen, that's actually a really good horror concept there. Pizza delivery. I know matter of fact, didn't they come with a horror film last year called Slice? But it was oh my God, I think it was an Amazon original, but that's actually a pretty good story. You guys should.
There you go.
Yeah, two.
There you go. We're working on something.
Two delivery. Yes. That is actually the beginning of the story.
Londa here says she sees a pupper. She always spots all the animals.
Yeah.
So who you got behind you there, Hilton?
Oh my gosh. That's my.
Oh goodness.
Yeah, and then that's my Aussie Shepherd, and then you want and look who's below. That's my husky, and then my other husky. They always sleep around me. Is right there.
Oh man, that's a cozy home right there.
Yeah,
that's so cute.
So they all surround me. So two huskies and one Aussie Shepherd. And,
nice. That's. So total side note, my favorite part about my job is when I get to pet the animals. Because I'm in insurance and I go to people's houses, and anytime that they have like their dogs get all excited and want pets, and they're like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, why are you apologizing? This is my favorite part of my job.
It's funny, right? Because I not a lot of people know, but I have a TikTok account that the dogs star in, right? So I make all these stories with them and everything like that. But the dog, it's funny because I there's one particular video that I do is that I never wanted the dogs. And the dogs it's always like that, right? The dogs are attached to me. They go everywhere I go. I walk, but I never wanted the dogs, and they wait for me and everything. It's just crazy, especially the Aussie Shepherd. He was like a gift, and we were supposed to give it to somebody, and he ended up staying with us, and I ignored him. Sounds messed up. I ignored him because I was like, you belong. You don't belong to me. Stay away from me, right? So he just would not let go of sight. So it was just so funny. So eventually it was like, all right, he's like my partner in crime every day. He's like always by my side. And like, how, the Aussies, gather up the sheep and everything. Right. So obviously I don't have sheep here. Every time when I go in, I'm like in the dark, when I have to go into the garage to make sure like everything is good, locked up in the house, shut the pool off and everything. I make him go in first, and it's so funny because he does it. It's amazing. These dogs are amazing, the Aussie Shepherds. So it's like he knows. There's not sheep. So I open the garage door. It's pitch black. I have my little flashlight. I'm like, go. And he just scans the whole room. And he comes back like the coast is clear. It's like, all right. I go into the garage.
Good to go.
Yeah. It is just amazing. It's an amazing dog. It's just unbelievable. And the Huskies is just so much energy. It's just like night and day, but they have the Huskies just so much energy. They don't know when to stop. They play, but they're very hard to handle.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize like how energetic Huskies are, but I'm like they're literally bred to be able to go on those long sled runs. So yeah, they have to have a lot of energy to do that.
Yeah, they would not get tired, especially the black and white one. He would not get tired. I have to stop. I'm like, I'm tired. He would not stop. And I would have to leave the room because he just won't stop. He'll keep jumping on me. I say, okay, I gotta go. Yeah.
Gotta go. Mike, he has to peace out a little bit. Thanks for joining us, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Hey, bye, Mike. Yeah.
Well, we are kind of coming up on the hour. It's been fun talking. Like, I don't want to end it.
Yes.
I know. I just saw that. I'm like, but I want to keep talking.
I know. Mike's like, y'all got to wrap it up.
Yeah, he said, I got to go. It's long.
Hilton, I know you're going to be on a few more weird
podcasts. I don't mind. We could go a little bit longer. We can keep going. I'm good. So, I mean.
So, like, you're the one on the East Coast. It's still early.
I know. Yeah, we still got the sun on our side.
Yeah.
What state? You say Arizona, right?
Yeah. Well, Bethany's in Arizona. I'm in Washington.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Stacy says we need a part 2.
Yeah, absolutely.
Always down for that.
But yeah, I talking about part 2. So what happened is that going back, when we did the web series, I did the Zombie with a Shotgun feature. You know, we went on a campaign, we raised monies, and we shot the film. It was crazy. We shot it in probably one of the hottest weeks of August in New York City. It was really ridiculous. It was like could not pick the worst week to do it. And when you watch that film, Zombie with a Shotgun, we shot it, I think, in, I don't know, 10, 11 days, but we still came back and shot like another 3 or 4 days. That 10, 11 days was 90 and up. And we were in basements, we were in attics, and you would never tell, but there was some scenes that we had recorded. You know, we had the whole cast, you know, and crew. There was guys that was recording temperatures over 100 degrees. And we would have to like take breaks and stop. And it was like, it's so crazy that you cannot tell when you watch the film. But there was times that people were flipping out. It's just too hot. We had to get the hell out of it. And it was just so upsetting because it was just so hot. And I was like, kind of felt like, damn, man, what happened? But we finished the film, you know, and we released the film in 2019, in November 28th to be precise. Amazon premiered it and stuff like that. Unfortunately, 3 months later, the whole freaking United States got shut down of COVID. It was very upsetting because we had planned to do a horror convention tour with the film.
Oh, wow.
And it was really upsetting. We never even got the opportunity for it. And we wanted to visit all these conventions, horror, comic book conventions, and just promote the film so we can make a sequel. We felt that we had enough sort of energy and fan base to do it. And we wanted to raise more monies also for the next one because we didn't have the monies to do a lot of the special effects. You know, a lot of the money went to like that one main scene because we just couldn't raise that much money. And again, you know, 2-3 years go by, we're like, damn, the people that wanted to work on the sequel are no longer around anymore. You know, a lot of people left and changed their career, went to other, you know, career paths, and a lot of the actors not doing it anymore. And so, you know, me working on this and working on other projects, and in the last couple of months while trying to finish up the 666, you know, I was trying to gather some old, friends and producers, and it's like, hey, look, man, you want to do it or what? And slowly but surely, we starting to gather like the troops that they would say, and we all agreed to say, hey, once you release 6 Beyond the Halls of Paradise, I think we should just go forward and let's try to raise money for the campaign for Zombie with Shotgun Part 2. I called my main actor, Braden, and he was game. He was like, let's do it. And so that's where we're at now. We're most likely, maybe, I'm not sure, I can't really, we're not there yet. But I would say in the next couple of months, we should release the campaign on the sequel. And we're gonna, whatever it takes. It's not easy to raise money. We all know that. It was very difficult for the first one. I cannot believe how hard it was. It wasn't even a 9-to-5 job. It was a 24/7 job. Trying to get people to raise money. So, we did what the monies that we raised wasn't even a lot the first one, but we definitely want to raise more monies. But whatever we do, we're still going to do it, and it's going to be a lot of work, but it's going to be a lot of fun. So that's like the next thing that where I'm aiming to do. And again, this business is really strange. I might get a call next week. Hey, I got this project to do. Let's do this. So, but that's the next plans that we're doing, just trying to go for the sequel of Zombie with a Shotgun.
Now, you said you had about like 4 other projects you were working on too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything you can share on those?
Yeah, I could definitely share. So
Yeah, like what's coming out soon?
What's going on? What's up?
So a couple of things, like, so there was these couple of documentaries I did. One was same thing. I was 6-7 months before COVID, everything shut down. So I had a producer called me up to again, I always get mixed in the documentary, and I think it's because my earlier work, people still finding them online. And I got this gentleman that called me, found me on social media, and said, hey, I'm looking for a director. I want you to come to Portland, and I want you to shoot this documentary about these young African-American kid who got murdered by the police in Portland, and was murdered by mistakenly saying that he had a handgun, but it wasn't. And, I get a lot of people tell me things like that, like, oh, I want you to document. I was like, yeah, whatever. So he's like, no, I really want you to do it. So I'm like, yeah, why? You got so many filmmakers in Portland. Why, why here in New York? And, so he was like, oh, I like your work. He goes, I used to live in New York. I just feel like people from New York, blah, blah, blah. So whatever. So he started filling me up more stories, and there was like a lot more of these cases. And one that was recently, he was like, hey, look, the documentary is not going to be about one person. It's going to be about 5 or 6 people. And then he had told me a story about one of the gentlemen, which was a homeless guy in the shelter. And it was on YouTube, how the Portland police just came in, and they just, he was arguing with them, and then they shot him and they killed him. And it's all on YouTube. And not to get political, but there was a sort of a catch to it, because it was this white guy who got killed, homeless white guy that got murdered. And this very powerful civil rights attorney, who happens to be Black, is coming to Portland and is going to slap a lawsuit against the Portland Police Department while he is going to be defending this white guy. And I thought it was just a great story. Like, wait a minute, how, this is pretty cool. Because Portland is very, like, again, not going to politics, everything very liberal. And at the same time, he was also going to take care of the case of Moose, which the documentary is called Moose, which is this young kid. So the guy comes over. I'm in downtown Manhattan, Lower East Side, when I was living there. And he calls me. He said, guess what? And I go, what? He said, I'm around the corner from you. Because I told him where I work, where I was at, where I live. And I was like, no shit. So I said, all right. He said, I got a table here in the bar, and I go around, and he puts all the articles, and I was like, and again, I left documentary, and I'm like, oh gosh, this is starting to be a good story. So, to make the long story short, 2 weeks later, he's like, listen, I got you and your crew tomorrow. Come to Portland. We shoot the film. I got Airbnb. I got everybody. and he bought all the tickets and everything in one day. Like it was like weird. I'm like, dude, I'm. What do you want me to do? Come tomorrow? He's like, yeah. So we went. We shot the film. It was amazing. The case is just they just settled the case. The mother won $2 million from the Portland, coughed up $2 million for the loss of her son, which was Moose, which was the young 16-year-old African-American kid who got shot by the police. And the other case is still going, it's going. But we shot the whole documentary, and COVID happened and so much shenanigans. And again, this year, the producer comes back and say, hey, we're going to fly you next couple months. We're going to finish just like sort of like a summary of what happened with the case. So that is one story. And yeah, the second one is just not to be too long. I finished the second one, and it's about, I've shown the trailer. And it's about this 15-year-old boy who had made nationwide headlines where his parents both have HIV. And he came out with a book, and he made national headlines. And Diane Sawyer interviewed in 2020. And his producer came up to me and said he wanted me to find him and wanted to know what happened to this guy. So I found him, and we talk about his life story, what happened to his parents and everything. And documentary's been done, but it's just trying to figure out, find a home. So those are the two other documentaries that one is completely ready to go, and one everything in the can but not edit. And yeah, I mean those are those are the two documentaries, and yeah, I don't want to bore you anymore.
No, nothing boring.
yeah. That, I mean, the last one I can say is that, you know, I think I told you about the photo book of the 40 Deuce, and we want to do a documentary on the photographs of during the 1980s and 90s of the 40 Deuce, 42nd Street, how it used to be in New York City. And that's actually a really, really big project that I have these producers that's trying to help me launch it. So that's one of them. But it's just weird again, because I have like my earlier works of documentary, a lot of people that contact me or like producers, they don't even know that I have a whole like horror narrative world. They think I just do documentaries, and then when they find like, oh, I didn't know you do horror. I'm like, yeah, how do you not know that? It's like, oh, I thought you only do documentaries, and then vice versa. When people know I do horror, it's like, I didn't know you do documentaries. Like, I know, it's just I got so it's kind of like funny. It's weird that the two worlds don't know that I exist in the other world. So it's just so funny. But yeah, I mean, I love doing it all. I mean, I love doing all this stuff. I got stuck doing it, and I do love it. And but now with the whole you know, horror stuff, that's like one of the main things now I'm getting into. Mm-hmm. Says I want to talk about documentaries sometime. Absolutely, yeah. I mean, like, yeah, that's so funny.
Well, that's what I was saying is Krystal does a crime documentary or a podcast.
Yeah, murders, mysteries, and mayhem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's like that is a perfect for that story. Yeah.
Yeah, so we could maybe have you on there sometime and talk about that, because that would be really interesting to talk about.
Yeah, and not to give like a you know, there is a crime story that looks like I'm going to do, but I'm not allowed to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So there is a crime story documentary that they want me to do that they're like, they don't want me to talk about it, but it's like it looks like that might be my next documentary, believe it or not.
Well, that's really cool. You should guest host on Krystal's show.
Yeah,
that'd be great.
When you're allowed to talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just yeah, they just like, you know, we don't want to talk about it because it's like whatever. Like,
Yeah,
in the works.
I'm like, whatever, you don't want me to talk about it. I don't want to talk. I don't know what the big deal is, but they were like, don't say anything, you know, don't talk about it. I said, okay. But yeah, no, it's but again, it's like it's so strange because like, again, I would like next week or two, I somebody was like, hey, I got this project, let's do it. It's just, you know, that's how it is. You guys know that's just how it is. It's like, I don't know, maybe next week or 2 weeks I'm working on something totally, you know, I get all these people. Oh, like, matter of fact, one of my good friends all the way in India, he's a producer, does films. I've known him for so many years. He's like, I'm coming back to New York the 25th. And I need you to be there because I got something I want you to do. I'm like, okay, So I'm like,
You're like a jack of all trades.
I'm like, all right, let's whatever you want to do. And the only thing he says, just one thing. Do you like road trip movies? And I'm like, yeah, whatever. I was like, yeah, let's do whatever road trips. I say whatever. Just I'm willing to do anything, but that I like. Obviously, it got to make sense to me. Something.
Yeah, I think being open to anything like that, though, it like opens you up for like more, just to be like a more well-rounded person, and you can like bring stuff over from one area into another area, and like it just gives you a lot more experiences too, just in life.
Yeah, I do agree because yeah, that is good. Absolutely. What you said. And it is true though, because it opens me up for work and stuff like that. Like if I never did my early work in documentaries, I would have never got hired to do those projects. And so that's pretty good. But I would never. And this is interesting because I'm going to tell you what really got me doing documentaries. Why I got one of my projects that I did years ago, and it was like, wow, I'm gonna sound old when I say this. It was like 20 years ago. I worked on a documentary that was an erotic documentary, right? And it's not erotic, but it's a storyline. I have it. I actually promoted a lot on my social media. It's called Art of Erotica, and it's these 6 artists that talk about the censorship that goes on in America. And one of the main artists is this female photographer. She's considered the best fetish photographer out there. And she decided to go against the Supreme Court, she created the Sexual Coalition, Coalition of Freedom versus the United States Supreme Court, were basically saying that the public domain, the people own it. The government does not own the public domain, and that the government should not tell us what to do or what not to do. Unfortunately, we have community standards, right? So community standards can tell us what we can't watch. So, for example, like maybe in Arizona, the community standards there. Like I give you an example because it happened to us. We did a trailer. And some state actually in YouTube, the community standards got us kicked out because of some certain community standards that each state has. So Barbara Nicky, who's this photographer that went against the Supreme Court in the United States of America, went, and unfortunately she lost. So the documentary is basically about that. It's about this journey that she's the last segment in the documentary, but these other artists are trying to figure out why their work is considered porn or art, where people just think it's not as art, can be porn and porn is not art. But these are amazing artists. And the documentary did a huge tour all of Europe. Of course, Europe ate that shit because they love that kind of like stuff there, that kind of like erotic art and everything. And it went all over the whole freaking Europe. I mean, it went to almost every single country, and it toured it around. And then that was one of the reasons everyone felt like, oh, this is documentary filmmaker here who did this erotic project and everything. And you wouldn't believe it. I still have such a huge fan base. And I can't even believe it. Out of all the places, Amazon showcases it, Prime. Unfortunately, I wish it was free. I try to get it for people to watch it free. Amazon that refuses. Amazon's like, no, this is a project that wants to pay for it. I just got Apple TV last week is interested in putting it on their Apple thing, but one of the problems is that they wanted me at the end of the segment, the footage was a little bit stretched out. I can't find the original footage. So it's like, damn, so I might lose out on that. They want the original footage because I stretched it out to look like a letterbox. And since the project was like shot 20 years ago, I don't even know what the hell the footage is. I have the footage that's stretched out, but where did the original source came from? I can't, so many years went by. It's so many hard drives. I gotta I don't know how many boxes I got to dig into to find that. But anyway, that was just a little bit of footnote. The documentary is called The Art of Erotica: The Outsiders. And
you got to go find that TikTok guy. He'll find that video for you.
yeah, he would love it. I am telling you,
back.
he would love it.
I know where that is.
That's great stuff that we did. Yeah, and it's great. It has most of the profiles is famous photographers that do erotic art, and it's not like raunchy and everything. You just but Barbara Nicky's amazing, dude. She's taken photographs from all the greatest porn stars and filmmakers. And her last name is taken because she married the famous porn star who did Devil in a Blue Dress, I think it is. I forgot the famous.
Oh.
His name, Nikki, she still has his last name. She was married to him. That's how she got into the whole industry. Mm-hmm. She explains it in the documentary. It's freaking awesome. And she has her photographs is from, Vanessa Del Rio and Randy, what these guys' names, my God, it came in Portia Lynn. It's in the documentary. It shows a lot of her work from these classic behind the scenes, and then she's gone from all this different types of erotic art, and it's just it was a great. I had a lot of fun doing it. I mean, and I think they were all amazing. I mean, Barbara was so amazing. I mean, you could look up her work. She has this huge photo book. I forget. Yeah. Kind of feel bad. I think she had a book signed for me, and I never went to pick it up. Oh. Yeah, I'm like, oh my God. I know she probably was like, yeah, it's like, I remember I was supposed to go, but couldn't make it. But,
gosh.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, I promoted also on social media also. So, but that was just, like I said, another footnote. So how did that happen to now is just amazing. But yeah.
Well, it's interesting to see how one aspect of your life can have an impact on the rest of your life. Like just like you said, your documentary crew don't know that you do horror. Horror doesn't know you do documentary, but like it's all you, it's all just part of that.
And I think like earlier when you said that it helps me, open up to do a lot of things, and if I had mentioned before that I wanted to get away from it, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do documentaries, but it just keeps coming back, and I'm like, why not?
It's your bread and butter.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I was like, why not? I'll do it and everything like that. But yeah, it's what maybe the next thing is doing documentary and horror.
Right?
Yeah, but yeah, you just never know.
Well, that's like you'll find out with the other podcasts that you're on with the Weirdverse. A lot of us are zombie or horror authors.
Yes.
But zombie is like our bread and butter. So like we may like zombies, but they're not. But like that's just what garnered a lot of attention was the zombie stuff. But if you delve into like some of the other people on the other podcasts, like they've got so many different stuff out there. They've got far more than I do. I got like my one book, but like they got so many things out there.
And it's interesting because when I did Zombie with a Shotgun, I won't lie to you, I never really thought that I would be known as like a zombie guy, and I never really even like research or knew about a lot about the history of zombies. Of course I knew about zombies, but it wasn't. I never intended that it was going to be. I was going to go so deep into that zombie genre, whatever you want to call it, subgenre, and everything like that. And as I got into it, I kind of realized like, wow, this is like a really massive, like, fan base of zombies is so huge. And I never I underestimated it so much. And I felt like, then I started to get like a lot of arguments with like zombie freaks.
Yeah.
And, and I would get people
a lot of passionate people out there.
Yeah, they're like, oh, how dare you, screw with the mythology of zombiehood and make it seem like zombies are humans. And I would get these guys and go at it on me. I'm like, what? I'm like, look, dude.
I liked that about it.
Yeah, and I'm like, dude,
he had like his own, like he still like had his consciousness and everything. Like I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, and it's so funny because in the sequel, what we're doing, and I'll tell you a little bit about the sequel. It's the there is some sort of like little argument that I put in there, like, but it's because I'm introducing vampires into this.
Oh,
And the
nice.
whole vampire clan doesn't understand that as well. So it's kind of like a jab at it, you know, like the vampire, like,
Okay.
how the hell you evolved? There's no such thing as this. You must not be a zombie. You must be something different. But we find out, no, I am a zombie. So it is like a pretty, like, you know, kind of like jab to that whole thing of like, no, you're not a zombie. Yeah, I am, you know, but it's just, you know, I've gotten to so many people. You wouldn't believe how many people told me that. It's like, that's not a zombie. I'm like, why not? You know what I mean? It's everybody has their own interpretation, whatever they wanted to do.
Uh-huh.
And but again, that's just going back to how there are these zombie freaks that I could not believe. Like I was like stepping on their freaking like, sorry, I didn't know that. You would get so mad that I decided to do a zombie, you know, that was more had a human, you know, have like, you know, half man, half amazing. It was half man, half zombie.
Mhm.
And but yeah, it's huge, you know, and I respect it so much, you know, and it's crazy. Even though I would release a don't mess with Steve. He's right. I would tell you this, and this is the truth. I can do Beyond Paradise 666. I can do my other short projects. I can do the documentaries. But I always get one question: when is your next zombie film? Because that's how. And I would get hits on my zombie page, and I've done this. Zombie was released 3 years ago. Zombie with a Shotgun and stuff. I haven't even really like updated a lot of stuff, and I still get more hits on my zombie channel, my zombie social media, than any of my social media channels. And I don't even promote it like that as much. I'm promoting this, I'm promoting other stuff, and I just laugh. I'm like, damn, dude, these guys are crazy. We just want more zombie stuff, but I love it. And again, it's the truth. I get like every day I get a dozen messages on my zombie channel about zombie this, zombie that. Where can I see that? But the other one would get like maybe 2, 3. And I was like, wow, this I got to do the sequel. You know, I have to do it. You know, I think I owe it to the fans too. I think I had a responsibility of how long, you know, it's been over 10 years since it's created. I created in 2012, the first episode. And how time flies, right? Time is shit, right? Time is so shit. And it's like, we're in 2023 and I'm like, God damn, dude. I did it 2012 and like, I can't believe how time flies. But I felt like, you know, I stayed with a lot of the fans for all this time. I felt like a responsibility to say, hey, you know what? I owe it to them. I feel like I owe it to them where, you know, the first one fell pretty short where it didn't really have what the zombie fans wanted. They wanted the gore. They wanted like blood. They wanted splatter. You know, the guy with the shotgun, right? So I'm like, okay, I got to give it to them. And that's how I feel like I need to do it, you know, the second one to give them what they wanted. You know, I gave sort of the lovey-dovey kind of thing that I like in part one, because I love the ultimate love story, blah, 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 whatever you want to call it. I think there's nothing like an ultimate, you know, that's what filmmaking is always about, like a great love story. So, but I'm like, now, you know what? I did what I want to do. Let's do the second one. Let's give what they want to do, what the fans like. And I think that would be cool.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to follow it up with, I'll open this up to anybody, but you have the zombie apocalypse. All right. We've got the demonology that you kind of delve in with the urban legends, stuff like that with 6666. Yeah, I had to count my sixes there. If you guys were in an apocalypse, what type of apocalypse would you guys want to be in? Like if the apocalypse happened.
Oh, wait, you got choices? You got like if I want
yeah, whatever you want. Whatever you want.
Oh my God.
Not like you want to be in an apocalypse, but you know, I mean, I think people like the idea of not having to go to work the next day because something happened. So
I mean, I can use a vacation, so not having to go to work would be great. But if it's not going to work because somebody's trying to eat my brains, that doesn't sound great to me.
I don't know. That feels like retail management for me. So
I mean, we've already survived that apocalypse, haven't we?
Yeah.
You know what? I think that I would. I mean, I'm thinking about all. I think it's zombie apocalypse because I think that you're more likely to group up with people. You
Hmm.
know, like where like if it's like a military apocalypse, like everyone is on. I think that would be good because I feel like it's a group with more people. Even though when we're watching Walking Dead, everyone wants to kill each other, right? But
Yeah.
like you could get to like really get together and fight these. You got. You're not saying that the zombies are evil, but they want to kill you. And unfortunately, you have no choice to kill them before you get killed. And I
Hmm.
think that would be probably the best way to go to get everyone gathered up. Yeah, I'm thinking about. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
For some reason, I was thinking about animals going. Like wild animals chasing people. I don't know. But I think that.
Wasn't there a show called Zombies or something? And it
Yes,
was a
it was. That's right. That's
Gosh.
right. Yes, yes. That's probably what I was thinking. I was like, wait, animals coming after me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I
Well,
think
Hadley says she wants you to write a story for a Writer of the Apocalypse anthology.
You should write it.
There you
Why not? Why not? And that's another thing. Yeah, but definitely. That's another thing that a lot of people has told me. Like, why don't you write like? Because I did the Zombie with a Shotgun comic book, right? And
Mhm.
I did the 5 issues, and it's funny because we were one short issue of completing the whole graphic novel because I wanted to do different stories, and it's funny because I just spoke to the comic book artist maybe like 4 or 5 days ago and say, hey, look, I think we should just complete it and just put in the graphic novel and everything, just cut it short and get to the other story. But other people was telling me I should start writing like Zion with a Shotgun, like, novels or whatever stories. And I'm like, I thought about it. I just can't do everything. It's so much.
Why not? Why not,
It-
Hilton?
yeah, I know. It's just so much right now. Like, right now concentrating on the sequel. That's thing. But yeah, I do get people that's telling me that, yeah, that's
There you
a good, yeah. There's definitely might be something like that down the line.
Well, if you want to jump in, we would appreciate any other additions to Riders of the Apocalypse. That'll be good. Hadley
Yeah.
says that we were talking about zombies. She said that Glenn Miller came on one of the shows. So he did Zombies and Aquarium of the Dead right there.
Well, yeah. And let me tell you, Zoomies was popular. That was
Mhm.
that was a very popular show.
Mhm.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I wonder, you know what happened to it?
I don't know. There, Hadley's talking a little bit more about the Riders of the Apocalypse right there. If you want to join in.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then
yeah, definitely. Let me hit me up with more information. That might be a good start of,
Mhm.
yeah, absolutely. Anything for the Dog Foundation. That's right. Yeah, you should.
we got
Yeah.
Stacy on there. She says alien apocalypse. Maybe a bunch of people could escape on their spaceship and fly to their world.
Oh my
was
God! You know what? You know what?
Versailles.
I'm gonna have to go with Stacy. I would. I like to be in an alien apocalypse. Yes,
Yeah.
Was
I
that
would do.
what you're gonna do too, Crystal? Be alien?
Well, I
Yeah.
was thinking alien apocalypse, but then I was like, no, you know what I want to happen? I don't know if anybody's seen this movie. It's so ridiculous. Such a B movie. Makes me laugh so hard. Toxic Avenger. I want there to be toxic sludge that gives us all superpowers.
That's
That's
pretty
the
cool.
apocalypse I want.
That's cool. That's cool. I like that. I like that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That is good. That's a good one.
That's
That's
my
awesome.
apocalypse. The toxic one that just gives us all superpowers.
Yeah.
Aliens would be a good one too, though.
Oh, yeah, I have to go with aliens now. Yeah, I think that would be cool.
I don't know. I can't do aliens. I am terrible. Well, okay, I can do some aliens, but like the stereotypical aliens with the big eyes and the long fingers, can't do them. I can't do them. Crystal had a little alien eraser head when we were in like junior high. I couldn't even look at that thing.
I had all
Yeah.
kinds of dude. The '90s was all about aliens and like
Yeah,
those
I remember those
aliens.
characters.
I had
Yes.
that stuff everywhere, all over my room, and she's like, "What are you doing?" I was like,
Yeah, she would spend
Yeah.
the night at my house a lot.
I remember
I
those
couldn't go over
"You
there.
don't like coming to my house."
Those characters are cool.
Londa's with me. Yes.
That is funny. Yeah.
I think there was like one poster that maybe I don't think I had it. One of our friends had it, but it said "We come in peas," and there was like peas all over the poster. But it was aliens.
I never saw that. That is pretty cool. I never saw that. But I remember they used to have a lot of '90s was a lot of alien posters, alien
Mhm.
characters, alien everything. I remember it was a lot of that.
Yeah, I was into it, especially the hippie aliens. I was all about the hippie aliens.
Oh yeah.
Hippie aliens.
They're not coming in peace. No, it's just all a lie. They're all here to get you.
I think
can't do it.
that's because your brothers tortured you with alien
did.
like, stories
Yeah.
when you were a kid.
I have very creative brothers.
The alien stories. Yeah, that's right too. And the X-Files was in the 90s too. That was why maybe a
Yeah.
lot of the things. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
X-Files was the 90s. I used to
Yeah.
watch that. That was like the show my dad and I would watch every week.
That was big. That was
Yeah.
big.
So good.
Mm.
My favorite episode of X-Files is when they did like the cops parody, and it was the film crew following them around like cops.
I remember that one. Yeah.
I love that episode.
Yeah. Do remember that one.
Oh my gosh.
So you're going to be on Watching Weird next week, right?
Yes.
believe.
Yes. I gotta
Okay.
look at the calendar. I think it's
The July 20th. You're going to be on. Wait. Okay, sorry. Hadley sent me a message. Okay, so you're going to be on Watching Weird next week, where they're going to do Evil Dead Rises and your 6666.
Yeah.
And then and you're going to be on Real Talk with Scott, talking about Real Talk
Yes.
stuff.
I think
Yeah.
Scott didn't give me the date yet. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I gotta look. Yeah, I gotta look at the date. I wasn't sure. I know there's a date for next week. Was it the
Pull up the calendar.
17th? Oh man.
17th is a Monday, 20th is a
No.
Thursday. So that's probably Watching Weird. I think Watching Weird is on Thursdays.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's Thursday. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Nice. Well, that's gonna be fun. Is there any what places can we find all your work at? Like, where can we find your comics at?
So the comics is on my website. I haven't. You can still go on zombiewithashotgun.com. And what I haven't not really promoted it because I want to like revamp the website. The website is fine. You could go on it. You can look at the comic books. I have a lot of stuff there. Zombie with a Shotgun. But one of my things I wanted to do is revamp the website, make it much more, just more newer. You always got to revamp it every like 4 or 5 years. I just feel like it's time to do it. But it's fine now. You go to zombiewithashotgun.com, and it's pretty cool because when you go to the first page, it basically talks about a little bit of the history of Zombie with a Shotgun, how it started, how it began, and how everything and what we were doing. And then you get into the products and whatever you want to see, the comic books, and it shows you where you can watch the web series and where you can watch the feature film. So there's a lot of stuff that needs to be, obviously a lot of links change, a lot of things has happened, and I want to start, putting it all together and put better, like more. I have a lot of merchandise that I haven't even like put on the website. Like I had a lot of T-shirts. I have like almost like 5,000 posters of all the autographs of all the actors in the film.
Oh wow.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I just COVID again. I don't want to blame COVID. That was one of the reasons I wanted to go to horror conventions. I was going to have the posters there with the DVDs, with the comics, with the postcards, with the T-shirts. I still have all the merchandise and the comics too. And COVID just like boom, it's like fuck, dude, And yeah, I mean, I knew that it wasn't a waste. I was like, you know what, this might be just even, you got to always put a good spin on it. And my spin was always like, hey, this is always going to be something for somebody. And down the line, when this is all over, I'm pretty sure people are still going to want it. It might be help for the sequel. So with the sequel, with the campaign, those are some of the perks that I might be giving out. Poster of all the autographs of all the actors in the film. And so I saved that, and I think that's pretty good to give out for the perks.
Are you going to do any conventions coming up? Like, do you have any lined up or?
No, the only thing that I'm going to do is I'm trying to figure out once I get this campaign, I'm trying to cast certain actors for the film and promote it. One of the things that I really want to do is like probably go to a convention and with postcards, meet people there and talk to people, say, hey, look, this is Zombie Shotgun campaign. As getting like a booth or table, no, I'm not saying I don't want to, is that I'm not sure if it's something that would be good for the campaign. I'm not sure 100%, but definitely down the line, I definitely love to do like get my own like kind of like table seat convention. I love to even talk on it and everything like that. And I think it's especially when the sequel comes out, I think there'll definitely be a bigger fan base, and people want to want to know more about zombie. So it'll be a good place for me to be at to talk to people.
Nice.
Nice.
Well, anything you want to shout out or promote right now, and then we'll kind of wrap it up a little bit.
Yeah, I'm in all social medias. I'm so easy. You could go into this is what I tell a lot of people. Zombie with a Shotgun. If you guys want to like see the feature, you could always Google Zombie with a Shotgun, and you could get the first episodes. It's playing. You could get streaming free at a lot of websites. But you could just Google Zombie with a Shotgun. You could get the web series, and you could get the film. Tubi has the feature film for free.
Nice.
Because some sites do charge. Again, it's not under my control. It's under the distribution. They're the ones who charge. With Tubi, you could get the Zombie Shotgun for free. I got other short films there. The Beyond the Halls of Paradise 666. Amazon, again, that's not my control. Amazon is charging people for it. Soon they're going to give it free. But I just found out that the streaming service called Reveal, which is spelled Reveel, is a streaming service, is offering the film for free. So if anybody's listening and wants to watch Beyond the Halls of Paradise 666, you just got to sign up for the thing. And it's just a simple 1-minute sign up. You just want to get your email and information, and then boom, the film is free. No commercial.
Really cool.
Nice.
So I'm pretty sure in the next couple of weeks, Tubi will have Beyond the Halls of Paradise 666, and that would be there also for free also. So that's if people are interested in watching it, that's what they can do. But yeah, you can just Google the films, and if you want to follow me, I'm always on Twitter. So you can always, it's either Zombie with a Shotgun, which is Zombie WA Shotgun, because they only gave they don't give, the full name doesn't go. Or you could get my full name, which is Hilton Ariel Ruiz. And the same thing with Instagram, Zombie with a Shotgun or Hilton Ariel Ruiz. And if you guys want to follow and ask me questions, I'm always there. And that's where you can find me.
Nice.
Right.
Well, we loved having you. And I wasn't trying to cut this short, but my cats are meowing for their food.
No,
and they're gonna start biting my ankles soon.
No problem.
Well, I'm just like usually we keep it around an hour, but we were like, oh, everybody gave us permission to go late, and we ran with that. So thank you, everybody.
Yeah,
this is a great conversation with you.
I appreciate that. I'm glad. Like I said, thank you for having me. Yeah, I'm always cool. I'm always cool with time, whatever conversation, because conversations do go. An hour actually just feels too quick a lot of times. Like, oh, done, and then it goes over. But I'm always cool with it. Anytime you guys want me, I'm always. I got a lot of shit to talk about.
We want to see more of your dogs too.
I could talk forever about. I mean, I bet you guys could talk forever too about films and stuff, and I could talk forever about everything.
Yeah.
Well, we definitely love to have you on again. We'll see if we can plan something, especially with some of your projects that are coming out down the road.
Absolutely.
So we'll see what we can do in there. And we'll also look forward to watching you on the upcoming podcast through the Weird Verse. So definitely check them out. The Real Talk and Watching Weird, and then anything else you have set up. And then Krystal, do you have any Mysteries, Murder, Mayhem coming up?
Yeah. Saturday, we're talking about Black Dahlia. I need to double check with everybody exactly what time works best for everyone. And once I do, I'll update everything on the Weird page so that everybody knows when to tune in. But it will be sometime Saturday. So awesome. Sorry that it's kind of a flying by the seat of our pants on that one, but that one I just kind of have to fit in where I can, and this weekend is where it's at. So.
Well, that's it for Blondes, Books, and Campfire Tales this week. Thank you, Hilton, for joining us. It was a blast having you on there.
Likewise. Thank you, guys.
Everyone go check out his movies, check out everything, check out his Instagram and Twitter right there. And next time we will see you guys in 2 weeks. All right.
Bye, everyone.
Good. Take care. Bye.